Alright, this is take 2 of my Learn to Code with Me journey. Last video, I did not understand how OBS works, so I didn't finish the video. So, we're gonna do this again. I am using this book called Python Crash Course. It's the 3rd edition, and I'm not gonna be starting at the beginning and learning code from the very start. If there is any want or need, I will go back to the beginning and go over those lessons again. But for now, I'm going to be starting where I personally left off. I'm in chapter 3, hence why my file names are PCC Python Crash Course, chapter 3, and I'm on example 10. This is the last assignment, I guess you could call it, that I completed. Tried to do this one on camera, but it didn't really work out, so we're just gonna start again. So right now I am working on lists and how to navigate them, edit them. So the last one, we're just finding the length of a list, and this one is saying think of things you could store in a list. For example, you could make a list of mountains, rivers, countries, cities, languages, or anything else you'd like. Write a program that creates a list containing these items and then uses each function introduced in this chapter at least once. So, at least I'll be going over what I missed in the last video. So, first things first, we have to make a new file. Oh, I already did that. Oops. We have to save it as a Python file. So, typical naming scheme, PCC chapter 3 underscore ex10, and then .py, so this file extension name, that's how it's going to be recognized as a Python file. So I'm just going to save it. And as for lists, what do we want to make this list on? How about we make a list on the different beaches here in Hawaii. So I'm going to name the variable beaches. So to start a list, we're going to use the bracket symbols. We're going to go in quotations. So I'm just going to go with one of my favorite beaches. This one is on the Big Island. It's called, all lowercase, Lalakea. And we're going to add maybe 5 things to this list just to make it a nice odd number. Other quotations, we're going to do Hapuna. For the third one, let's do Kamaole. And then we can do, what other beaches should I add? Let's say Puhipe. And let's do Big Beach. It has a Hawaiian name, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. Alright, so we got our list. So, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna print out everything in here. So, to print everything, we're gonna start with, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to name it. So we're gonna just start file, or adding my name to the file, I should say, and adding the date. And then we're just going to start commenting before each section, just so that whoever else opens up this file will know what they're reading. So, pretty self-explanatory. List of beaches in Hawaii. We're going to skip a line, and we're going to say print each beach one by one. So we're going to start with a print function. Then I'm going to say format. Since this one is the first one in the line, I'm not going to put it to a new line because it's automatically going to start on its own. I'm going to say print, and then bracket, or I think it's the squiggly bracket. I don't know the name for that. I think it's like operand or something like that. And then I'm gonna hit the beaches variable, and as for the position, list start at position 0. So this right here would print out Lalakit. So if we save this and we come over here to the command prompt and we navigate over to the file where it's at, PCC3 underscore ex10.py, and we run that file, it's going to print Lalakit. Even though we specified position 0, it'll still print out Lalakit. So if we wanted to make this look nice, we could say my top 5 favorite beaches in Hawaii are, and we could start by saying this. Now if we hit a comma and then we do it again, beaches, open bracket, position 1, not 1Q, and come to the outside of this bracket, or let's just see if it prints out nicely, and we run it again. So now it is showing that we are printing the first 2, and since here there is no space, there is also no space after this colon, so we can add that in, just adding the space and saving it. Now if we run it back, now there is a space. Okay, so moving on, let's just repeat that. Squiggly bracket, beaches, open bracket, position 2, come to the outside, comma, start it again, beaches, open bracket, 3, come to the outside, comma, space, squiggly bracket, and the last one, beaches, open bracket, 4. So even though there are 5 items in this list, we're only going to go up to position 4 because, as I said, lists start at position 0, so it's going to start here. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now when we save this list, it will run. My top 5 beaches in Hawaii are Lalakea, Hapuna, Kamaole, Puhi Bay, and Big Beach. Alright, so moving on, what is the next thing we need to add? We need to add a greet statement. So this is going to be personalized statements for each of these, and I'm just going to make it a generic one to just make it easier so that you can separate them. And this is where you can start accessing specific positions to create different parts. So I'm gonna comment this out and say unique, I don't even know how to spell unique, unique statement about list or items in list. So we're gonna come down here, we're gonna do another print statement, and now for the formatting, I am gonna move this over to a new line. So you do /n for that. Now anything that you type after this, I would say my number one favorite beach is, and then comma, or I don't need a comma, squiggly bracket. Out of all of these, I would probably say Lalakea is my favorite, so I would say beaches, open bracket, position 0, and then that will be the end of that statement. So I'm going to come down to print, I'm going to do this again. So I want this on a new line again, and say my number 2 favorite beach is, so I'd probably say Puhi Bay would be my next favorite beach. Oh, see, I was about to type in the list item instead of its position, so you have to access the beach's variable and then specify which positions. Puhi Bay is position 0, 1, 2, 3, position 3. So position 3. So that one is good. We're gonna do another print, and we're just gonna repeat this. So I'm gonna pause till I'm done with it, and then I'll just come back and show you the output. Alright, so the only things that I've changed so far is the naming scheme. I didn't really like the grammar of my number 1, my number 2, 3, my number 5 favorite beach. It just sounded weird, so I changed it. But everything code-wise is still the same. I have all of these formatted to new lines, so all of this should be one empty space underneath this line the next time it prints out this file. So we can test that out by running the code again. So all of these are on different lines. So the next thing that we have to do, I think it would be so we already did that. So the greetings and lists with statements about each one, that's more or less all done right here. So the next thing would be a list of people, inviting them to dinner. That's more or less the same thing as this. So to change the list, and then modifying it, taking out a list item, and then adding in a new list item. So anytime that we want to remove something from a list, we can either use the remove statement or we can use the pop statement. So the difference between the two is pop statements will temporarily take something out, but it'll still be part of this list. The remove statement will permanently change this list. So first, I always want to go through the pop statements first. So I'm just gonna comment this out. Pop of 1 each. So I need a quick refresher. I'm gonna refresh myself and come back. Okay, so I was a little bit wrong, a lot of bit wrong in my explanation of how to remove things from a list. So the delete statement, del, is the way to remove something permanently, and the remove statement is if you don't know the position. So let's say this list is way longer than it actually is, but you know the value or the naming scheme of it. So let's say I wanted to remove Kamole, but I didn't know the position. I could say remove Kamole, and it would recognize which position it is and take it out for you. The del statement is gonna work off of the positions, so 0, 3, 1, like those, and take out specific ones. If you just hit delete and leave the position blank, it's just gonna delete the first one, and so you'll be left with these 4. And then if you do it again, you'll be left with these 3 because they're permanently removed when you use the delete statement. So now we're gonna do pop statement because it's a temporary removal, and just to show how it works, I'm gonna say popped underscore beach is equal to beaches dot pop. I'm gonna specify which one. So I'm gonna pick my least favorite beach. So I'm gonna do position 2. And now if I come down and say print on a new line, and then I just have popped underscore beach. I believe when we run it over here, no, that is wrong. What's going on? Did I miss something? Yes, I am missing something. I am missing my squiggly brackets. So now, if we run this, it pops out this. So it's printing out which beach got popped. So I popped out this one because I don't want that as part of my list of beaches anymore. And so I'm just going to take out this print statement. So now what we're going to do is we're going to insert something. And once again, it's been like a week since I last went through this, so I'll be back after refreshing myself. Okay, so just like removing something, there are 2 different methods of adding on. You can either append something, which would just be to add something to the very end of your list. So if I were to append a new item, it would add another beach right behind Big Beach or position 4, and it would create a position 5. Or the other option you can use is to insert, which allows you to bump around the order by inserting it into a specific position. So let's say I wanted to add another beach. I would say added underscore beach is equal to beaches dot insert, and then I can add which position. I believe that's how this works. Yeah. So I picked the position. So since I'm replacing Kamole, which is position 2, I'm going to say position 2, and I'm going to put a comma within the function itself and add on the name of the beach. So I'm going to put Mokuola. And so now, if I take this and I save, oh, not save, I copy it, I move it down, and I print this again, it should be printing out a different list of beaches. So this will no longer read Kamaole, it should read Mokuola. So I'm going to save the file, and I'm going to run it again. Oh, this has to be in quotations. Oops. So if I save it and run it again. Oh boy. This is hard to read, but this is the original output, everything from here to here. But if you read the second output, it no longer has this beach, and now it contains this one. But everything after these lines, they're gonna read exactly how this is. Everything above it is just gonna read everything else. So if I were to say print on new line beaches, or just beaches, I guess. Yeah, I think it has to be like that. It will read, yeah, it will read Lalakea, Apuna, Mokuola, Pui Bay, Big Beach. So it's no longer reading this beaches, even though all I'm saying is to read this. Because I added these 2 lines of code, it is changing this list. Alright, so now we're gonna go over how to append things. So I'm just gonna comment this out, and I fixed a little bit of the grammar, I guess you could call it. I didn't like how everything was so spaced out, and for whatever reason I was forgetting that when you have individual print statements, they automatically move themselves to a new line, and it looks a lot cleaner to just have everything grouped where they're supposed to be grouped, and having individual statements in their own space. So that's how I've formatted things so far. So this one will be append of 2 new items. So it's going to be similar to these. So I'm going to say append item, or append underscore beach, let's say, is equal to beaches dot append, and then I'm going to put Leleigi, comma, come outside of it, comma, and then Richardson's. Actually, I don't actually like Richardson's that much. I'm gonna go Waiulu. I like Waiulu a lot more. So now if we come over here and print this out, and we say print beaches, what should happen, oh, what's going on? so we have a trace back to what I just tried to add. Do I have to do this one at a time? Let's see. It looks like it. So let's just take all of that out and save it. Now let's run it again. Yeah. What if we just take out the squiggly brackets? That fix that? Okay, hopula pui baby. Alright. So this pen statement, it's always going to add it to the very end of your statement. To insert it to the beginning, you would have to use the insert function. So that's good enough for me. Now we're gonna go over the delete statement, or let's add a second each. Do I have to take that again? Or I don't even think I need to add this. I think I can just do this and it'll do the same thing. So if I add back in that print statement, let's see, does it print the exact same thing? It does. So turns out I was doing all of this the long way. Definitely did not need to do all of that. So we're just gonna fix it and move on. So peaches.append. We're gonna add a second one. We're gonna do this one called Waiuli, like I said earlier. And now I will add all of this again. And then we're just going to add 2 more lines. Print. And we're going to format it. Or what's going on? Why does all of this have forward slashes? We're going to delete all of these except for the first one because I want it to be on a second, its own line separate from this statement. And we're going to say my 6th favorite beach is squiggly beaches bracket position 5. Alright, then we're going to do one more. Do our print statement. Well, I guess I technically don't need the formatting part of it since it's all going to be on its own line anyway, but I like to just have it because it's convenient. And my 7th favorite beach is squiggly beaches position 6. So if we save this and we run it again, this will be our new output. So it starts here. Here's the first line of coding up here, my top 5 beaches. This is the original list. Alakea, Hapuna, Kamole, Big Pui Bay, Big Beach. And then the first statement about it being changed. So now I have the new list. And then the statement about how I forgot to add 2 things. And now adding on to this, now there is a 6th and 7th item on the list, as well as their own statements for it. So now I'm going to delete these permanently because I don't like how big the list has gotten. I want to just keep it to 5. So we're going to comment this out and say delete of 2 old items, and we're actually going to keep these last 2. I'm going to delete out 2 beaches that I don't like as much as them. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go beaches.del, and we're going to select the position. So I don't want Puhi Bay. So Puhi Bay in my list is position what? 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to delete position 3, and then we're going to do it again. Beaches.del. So one thing I want to note before you do your second delete statement is that once you delete out this number 3, this whole list is going to shift back 1. So while this is position 3, Big Beach, once this is deleted, becomes position 3, and then Lele Edie becomes position 4, Waiulu becomes position 5. So then there will no longer be a position 6. So the next beach that I want to delete is Mokuola. So Mokuola is my 5th favorite beach. So we come over here to this statement, that is position 2. So because position 2 was in front of position 3, it doesn't get affected, and I can delete that. Whereas if I were to delete position 2 first, I would have to run this twice. So we can see this in action by just printing out this. So now if we save this and we run the code again, oh, did we do that wrong? Oh yeah, I definitely formatted this wrong. I was formatting it like it was this. This is backwards, so it goes del space beaches. So let's write that again. Del space beaches. I believe that is the proper formatting for that. And instead of parentheses, we use brackets for the position in the list. Oops. So now if we save that, come back over here to the terminal and run it again, it should have taken out Puhi Bay and Mokuola. So I have Lalakea, Lele'ivi, Hapuna, Waiuli, and Big Beach. Why this moves all the way up to the second position, I'm not quite sure why. The first one I deleted was the second, right? This is the second position. So position 3 was Kamaole, which it removed. No. Wait. I'll be right back. I need to figure this out. I have come to the conclusion that I have no idea what's going on there and why these two have decided to jump ship to where they have. So they moved themselves from 6th and 7th to 2nd and 4th for some reason, pushing around these. So this used to be 4th and is now 5th. This has remained 3rd, but I still don't understand why this one moved where it did. But I'm gonna call it here. This is gonna be a part 1 because it's already been going on way too long, and I doubt anybody's gonna be able to sit through this. So, see you in the next one.